Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Monica, roll call, please.
Chair Hosseini?
Here.
Vice Chair Coots?
Here.
Governor Beard?
Here.
Governor Carter? Governor Chopra?
Here.
Governor Colson?
Here.
Governor Fossey?
Here.
Governor Frost?
Here.
Governor Huizinga?
Here.
Governor Laudenbach?
Here.
Governor Levine? Governor Link? Governor Morton? Commissioner Stewart? Governor Tripp? Governor Webster? Chair Hosseini, you have a quorum.
Chairman Webster and President Bradshaw, thank you so much for hosting us here today. We really appreciate that. Would you like to give us some comments?
Mr. Chair, Governors, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to personally welcome you and Mr. Chair and the distinguished members of the Board of Governors of Florida Gulf Coast University. Really thank you for allowing us to host this meeting today. And a special welcome to our new Chancellor, Mr. Marshall Kreiser III. Chancellor Kreiser brings an impressive background in business and a knowledge of higher education that will surely benefit the State University system of Florida. Chancellor Kreiser, I look forward to working with you. Wow, it's been a busy and successful year for Florida Gulf Coast University. Enrollment topped 14,000 for the first time this fall, up 5% from last year, with an unprecedented 35% increase in the freshman admission applications for fall 2014. More than half of the applications are now coming from outside of our 5-county region. Applications from other states are also surging as well. We have an increasingly diverse student population, with Hispanic students comprising 18% of our student population this year. That's up 9% from fall of 2012. And African American student enrollment is up by 9.5%. We are very pleased to provide educational opportunities to the students in this region and beyond. This past year, we had the great fortune of traveling to New York City. One of our very talented students in the Bauer School of Music and the Arts had her debut at Carnegie Hall. Wow. And what was really very exciting about that is that my wife Joanna and I got on a plane the next day to head to the conference championship for men's basketball. Athletics is excelling as well. We are riding the wave of the Dunk City March Madness phenomenon. And we just learned this morning at a event that I could not attend, because I've mastered a lot of things in my life, Governors, but I've not mastered how to be in two places at one time. But we were named by the regional newspaper, the Fort Myers News Press. Dunk City was named Person of the Year just minutes ago. Men's and women's basketball teams are shining in the Atlantic Sun Conference this season. The men are 4-1. The women are 3-0 in conference play. The average GPA for our scholarship athletes is 3.31, compared to the average of 3.05 for our student body at large. The community continues to embrace our teams with enthusiasm. Average attendance at men's basketball has nearly doubled, and the enthusiasm for the Eagles is overflowing to all of our sports. Community and civic engagement remain key elements of the educational experience at FGCU, as has been the case since we opened our doors in 1997. Our academic programs are offered through the 5 colleges of the university: the Lutgert College of Business, the UA Whitaker College of Engineering, the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Health Professions and Social Work, and the College of Education. Our programs are intentionally designed to be responsive to the regional and state needs. FGCU is taking a leadership position in regional economic development, working with partners from across the 5 counties that comprise Southwest Florida. Our faculty are working with and supporting many regional organizations in business growth, environmental stewardship, marine sciences, education, and healthcare. We are stimulating entrepreneurship and new business creation throughout the region. and FGCU students give more than 189,000 hours of community service each year, totaling more than 1.4 million hours since we opened in 1997. Clearly, our approach resonated with the state leaders this year. We were extremely gratified to have received such a high ranking in the first year of performance-based funding. We are proud of the success of our graduates who are securing jobs that pay well as those who continue their graduate education. We also take pride in the value-to-cost ratio of our bachelor's degrees. FGCU embraces performance-based funding, but I would suggest that the comments of my fine colleagues, President Barron, President O'Shea, and others be heard, because it's very important going forward that we get performance-based funding right. And I hope we all will stay open to making the adjustments where necessary so that we can accomplish what the goal of performance-based funding is. And that is foundational, that we all find ways to be better. We continue to improve upon our academic programs here at FGCU. We continue to improve with our retention and graduation rates, distance learning programs, undergraduate internships, and student success. Now, I invite you to watch this short video to see how this remarkable university has come to be where we are today. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Governors.
Thank you.
An eagle is not a what? You know, an eagle is a spirit of community involvement, a spirit of academic excellence, a spirit of service.
It seems like every year we're accomplishing more and more amazing things.
But it's not enough to just come into the classroom, get your degree, and just walk out of here. I think it's about sharing that knowledge with others, and I think that professors and faculty and administration do a good job at trying to instill those values.
I am encouraged to think outside the box. I'm encouraged to develop new programs and new experiences for our students.
We have great buildings, and we have wonderful labs, but it's that faculty member in the classroom creating that spark in students.
There is a faculty that care very deeply and work very hard to make sure that we get that excellence in education, whether it's in the classroom, in the laboratories, or in the environment when they are doing service learning.
Service learning is the opportunity for students to take what they're learning at the university and bring it out into the community.
They want to teach us that that it's not just us out there.
Our institution believes so strongly in getting our students out in the community that they've incorporated it into a requirement here.
Sustainability is very much a part of our DNA, and you can see that in how we build buildings, how we maintain landscaping. Indeed, you can see it in our curriculum.
We have an interdisciplinary philosophy. You have to teach students across disciplines in areas that are common in terms of content.
We work together and we come up with a project or an idea that has everything incorporated.
Can't imagine that another institution could talk about the same things we have, from starting from scratch to being not only in Division I, but being a very successful Division I program in a matter of 10 years.
We're really excited about the entire portfolio of what our student athletes and our coaches have done. You know, we start with how we're doing academically. We have a 3.3 cumulative grade point average compared to the university's undergraduate body of 3.05. We've been very pleased, obviously, with our successes of our team, starting with the Dunk City successes in March that not only brought success for 2 weeks in basketball, but lent itself to our university now being known by 4 letters as much as they are 4 words.
Knew from day one that FGC was the right fit for me because I knew there wasn't 50,000 people competing for the same opportunities that I wanted to have for my collegiate career.
After attending FGCU, we all become more environmentally aware of the food chains, the ecosystem, and conservation, and how that plays such an integral role with tourism, the economy, and our local sustainability.
And we are still involved very much at the university level. So anytime we can give back, whether it's hire a student from the university or help with the project at the university, it's always a pleasure for us.
We planned right from day one to grow, but that growth has been informed by the needs of Southwest Florida. There's so many things that I'm proud about Florida Gulf Coast University. Its rapid growth, the excellent faculty we've been able to put together, and their commitment to excellence in teaching, service, and research, and certainly the students and the impact that we have on their lives. Those are all very special things about Florida Gulf Coast University. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Bradshaw. That was fantastic. Now I am going to continue a great Board of Governors tradition. I will be delivering the State of the System address. Please give me a moment to get there. I'm going to try to do this without my glasses on, see how it works. As I enter my term as chair of the board, I want to begin by saying what a privilege it is to serve the State University System of Florida, and what an honor it is to work with the members of this board. Thank you. Each of you has demonstrated a deep commitment to higher education and the state of Florida by volunteering on this board. I look forward to continuing to work over the next 2 years and making our system the best system in the country. I am fortunate to share that work not only with the members of this board, but also with Chancellor Kreiser. Our new Chancellor understands the challenges that our system and our state of Florida face. He will effectively advocate for our system. He will carry our message to our state leadership and fight for our priorities. In his brief remarks at our November meeting, Chancellor Kreiser talked about our boards ensuring that the students, families, the citizens of Florida know that an investment in our higher education system is the best investment that can be made with public or private dollars. Now you know that Chancellor Kreiser and I both started at the beginning of January. So we have only been on these jobs for a couple of weeks. We thought that we would share with you pictures from each of our first day on the job. Here, this is what I looked on the first day of the job. But if you think that's bad, I want you to see a picture of Chancellor Kreiser on his first day on the job. I thought his was much better than mine. In all seriousness, higher education in Florida is at a critical time. We are on the cusp of greatness, and this board is prepared to ascend to greatness. This board has worked hard over the past few years, and our efforts have paid off. The House, the Senate, and the governor all trust our board and our system to provide a high-quality, affordable education. This board stands ready to move that work forward. Today, I will lay out a blueprint for how this board will be laser-focused over the next 2 years. Laser-focused on 3 critical areas. 1, quality. 2, funding. And 3, system synergy, which is working together to create the best possible system of higher education. In the area of quality, the Board of Governors must continue to lead, and to lead with focus. Our system has the future of the students and in many ways of the state in our hands. Our work set the future of higher education in this great state, and that is a big responsibility. We must focus on what is good for the future of Florida. An educated and a skilled workforce that will create more high-paying jobs is good for Florida. We must focus on attracting companies to Florida, companies that are looking for that educated, skilled workforce. We will build the 21st century Florida, a Florida with most educated workforce in the country. We can harness the entrepreneurship that already exists in the system. Universities have always been incubators of new knowledge. That's the reason that businesses develop around universities. Just look at Stanford, MIT, Harvard, and the Research Triangle in North Carolina. Companies like Cisco go to North Carolina to be closer to the great universities. I want businesses to think about Florida's universities in the same way. I want companies across the nation and the world to place Florida at the top of their list of places to create jobs. Our universities already produce some unbelievable results. We are a good return on a state's investment. For example, we rank 5th in the country in bringing the critical research dollars. Our system contributes $1.8 billion in research dollars to the state. The University of Florida led with $607 million, and the University of South Florida is gaining ground at over $450 million, Dr. Genchaff. Our researchers use these dollars to tackle the critical issues facing the world, Developing new medicines and new technologies lead the list. 60% of those dollars, more than $1 billion, comes from private contracts and contracts with the National Institute of Health, the Department of Defense, the National Science Foundation, and other federal agencies. That is a good return on investment. Our universities have been awarded more patents in the past 5 years than anyone else in Florida. We are awarded 937 patents. Our closest competitor was Siemens Energy, and they were only awarded 356 patents during that 5-year span. Another good return on investment. Since 2003, the state has invested $84.5 million in 11 centers of excellence located in our system. These centers have created jobs, collaborated with private industry, and produced $460 million in competitive grants. That is a collective return on investment of $5.52 for every dollar invested. The 495 institutes and centers conducting research in our system average a $4.85 return on investment for every state dollar invested, proving again that we are a good return on investment. Look at the University of Florida. Congratulations are in order to Dr. Machen for raising $1.7 billion in 5 years for the university. He also recently announced that he is looking to raise another $800 million for the preeminence program over 10 years. And those, my friends, are a great return on investment. But we can still get better, and we must. This board will partner with the universities to hold the system accountable for creating a high-quality educational experience. This board will hold the universities accountable, and we will hold ourselves accountable. We have already done great work in the area of accountability. Our three-pronged accountability system, our 2025 strategic plan, our annual accountability report, and our university work plans focuses on measures critical to improving Florida: operational efficiency, return on investment, and academic quality. That's why we are recognized nationally as a leader for our accountability work. Our accountability report has shown us areas where the system excels. For instance, our system compared to other systems does an incredible job of getting students out of college in 6 years. And we continue to improve, graduating more students sooner, students who can go out and contribute to Florida's economy. Our latest data shows that 6-year graduation rates are up for all types of students, first time in college and transfer students alike. In fact, we rank third among the 10 largest public university systems on our FDIC 6-year graduation rate at 68%. And over the last 4 years, this rate went up by 4%. Clearly, we are heading in the right direction. That said, 32% of our FDIC students do not graduate in 6 years. But that's not the whole story. That is not the whole story. 6-year graduation rate in our system range from a high of 86% at UF to low of 39% at FAMU and 40% at FIU. That is unacceptable. Just think what our overall system six-year graduation rate could be if the universities with the lowest graduation rate increase their graduation rate. Think about how much better we can be. Wouldn't it be great to be ranked first in the U.S.? Who said that we should only pay attention to six-year graduation rate? What happened to graduating in 4 years? Most parents expect their children to graduate in 4 years. I certainly do. Why is our current 4-year graduation rate for the system is 42%? A 4-year graduation rate range from a high of 66% to low of 8%. 4-year graduation rate at 8%. That is completely unacceptable, and obviously we had work to do here. I also want this board to do its due diligence. I want the audit and compliance committee to take on new responsibility. They will be the board's vehicle for ensuring that the board has undertaken its due diligence on the accuracy of data, especially data related to performance funding. I want this board and its committees to be held accountable, and that is us. I want us to be accountable. I expect each of the committees, our committees, to come before the board in March with a 2-year plan outlining how that committee expects to contribute to this blueprint. Only by holding our system and ourselves accountable, we will be able to succeed for our students and our state. We owe them our very best. Now I want to turn to funding, my favorite subject. Our board has developed a performance funding model that will incentivize quality by assessing items like retention rate, graduation rate, and post-graduation successes, as well as providing university-specific metrics targeted to each university's distinct mission. We are fortunate to have leaders in this state who are supportive of our system and who care about the students. We understand their goal for our system. We want to be affordable, but we also want to meet the needs of our students, to provide them with the best education possible so that they can be productive citizens with good jobs. We know that we can rely upon the governor, the Senate, and the House to support our system in achieving these goals by providing our universities with adequate funding for operations and facilities. The governor and the legislature prudently took $300 million from us when the economy was in dire straits. They had to balance the budget like any other business in the state. Now that the economy is growing again and unemployment is down, we need the state to fund us. We desperately need funding for our 3-2-1 plan for facilities. What is the 3-2-1 plan? Very simple. We need $321 million for facilities. That's the 3-2-1 plan. The 3-2-1 plan does not include a penny for new construction. Let me repeat this. There is not one penny for new construction on $321 million. We need $87 million for maintenance, $189 million for completion, and $45 million for renovation. The 321 plan supports facilities that the legislature has already supported with partial funding. Our board is focused on completing these crucial projects. Compared to other systems across the country, Florida invests relatively little in facilities. For instance, the New York system has spent $550 million for the past 5 years on maintenance only. Texas spent $475 million on facilities for the University of Texas and Texas A&M system. The University of California system issued $860 million in century bonds in 2012, topping MIT's record investment of $750 million in its facilities. Our 321 plan will be our countdown to success. This board is not just asking for money. We are looking for efficiencies and demanding collaboration. Our universities have taken up this challenge and made difficult choices to close 197 low-performing programs since 2008. Our two preeminent universities are leading the way in this effort. Florida State has terminated 55 programs since 2008, 36 of which were terminated in the spring of 13. 36 of them just in the spring of 13. And the University of Florida has terminated 30 programs. And the universities continue to look for efficiencies even after the economic picture started to improve. I am proud of the universities for focusing on these efficiencies. FSU is receiving national recognition for its focus on balancing quality with efficiency. In fact, it was recently named as the most efficient, high-quality university in the country by the U.S. News and World Report. For the second year in a row, thank you, Dr. Barron. Our universities are also working together better than ever before. As just one example, I recently learned about new initiative from President Rosenberg, Hyatt, and Genshaft. FIU, UCF, and USF are building a consortium dedicated to finding the best way to collectively serve their unique student population. This partnership among our state's 3 largest metropolitan research universities will ensure access to education that leads to productive jobs by maximizing the resources available in Florida's largest metropolitan centers. I also want our system to collaborate with the other education sectors. I want to build on conversation from the last 2 academic and student affairs committee meetings between our system and the Florida college system. I am relying on committee's chair, Norm Tripp, and vice chair, Wendy Link, to ensure that this system's 2+2 system remains the envy of the nation. Thank you, Dr. Hyatt, for having the best 2+2 program in our system called Direct Connect. I am also appointing Wendy Link to the Higher Education Coordinating Council. She will serve as our link not only to the Florida college system, but also to the K-12 sector and the independent colleges in Florida. I created an innovation an online committee to look at innovations across the country and ensure that our institutions are at the forefront of new technology. This committee is chaired by Ned Lautenbach and held its first meeting yesterday. Thank you, Ned. I expect that committee to act quickly to assess the potential of new innovations and online learning, as well as seek out existing best practices. Most importantly, the committee will spur new thinking and take the system to the next level of innovation. Next, I want to talk about system synergy or system teamwork. At the Trustee Summit in November, I talked a lot about creating system synergy, and I want to make that synergy a focus of the Board of Governors, the Board of Trustees, and the universities. Our board must collaborate with the Board of Trustees to steer higher education policy for the state. We must continue to carefully select only the best candidates for trustee positions, and then strengthen our relationship with the local Board of Trustees. Together, we can create the best system of higher education in the country. We must, however, have synergy with the system to succeed. Our board shares responsibility for system governance with the university boards of trustees, and we continuously refine the powers and duties of the Board of Trustees. We develop our relationship with the members of the university boards. Chair Colson frequently said that many decisions can only be made by the University Board of Trustees, and I agree with him completely. This board trusts each University Board of Trustees to carry out the responsibilities set out for it in the Constitution and to honor the trust placed in it the citizens of Florida, the governor, and our board. Two of the major responsibilities of the Board of Governors are to define the distinctive mission of each university and to ensure the well-planned coordination and operation of this state university system. To do this, we need to work even more closely with each university's Board of Trustees. I am launching a special initiative and calling upon each University Board of Trustees to create a committee to conduct a stress test of the university's operation. Let me tell you what I mean by a stress test. The goal of the stress test is to review whether the university is financially resilient. We are asking the Board of Trustees to conduct a stress test to diagnose how well the institutions are likely to perform in today's challenging environment. The trustees will review every program and every degree to see if students graduate on time, without excess hours, and get jobs. They will determine whether programs whose students do not graduate on time and get jobs should be closed. We have recently come through some difficult years because of the economy, where we have all had to make some tough choices and decisions. How will institutions react if funding decreases dramatically once again? How can we be assured that our institutions can weather a stressful condition? What strategies would they employ to manage additional budget reductions? And what would be the likely impacts and outputs? Over the course of the next few months, we will be communicating with the boards of trustees about the conditions of the stress test that we want you to conduct on your university. We expect that members of the Board of Governors and our staff will have conversation with Board of Trustees and campus leadership during this exercise. We will be asking Boards of Trustees to report the result of the stress test to the Board of Governors in fall 2014. I want to be clear that this work will be done by the trustees themselves. It will be hard work, but it will result in a better system. Our board will no longer accept low graduation rate, high excess hours, or degree that don't create job or address workforce needs. Our board will continue to demonstrate its ability to lead the system as we advance into the 21st century. We will continue to improve. Not only do I want our system to be the best system in the country, I want our system to be one of the best systems in the world. I do not want to have Finland and South Korea ahead of us. I don't want us to be average, because look at Huffington Post. U.S. is average. This is not an average country. This is a great country. Our system has been changing, and we have worked hard on improving over the past few years. We have made great strides. As the American Council of Trustees and Alumni say, Florida is rising. We, however, have a long way to go. As I take over the reins, I want each of you to be ready to dig in, prepare for some hard work. We owe nothing less to the students, families, and taxpayers of our great state of Florida. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the Board of Governors meeting held on November 21st, 2013?
So moved. Second.
Any comment, revisions? No? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay. Chancellor Kreiser, your comments?
Thank you very much. I have to confess to you, when I arrived in my office, I believe the chairman left this quote on my desk, and it was a quote from Winston Churchill, which remarked that when you reach the grammatical end of a sentence, it's time to sit down. And I wanted you to know, while I may be speaking a little longer than that, I actually did go and find the punctuation keys in the Chancellor's keyboard and put them back on it. And so my hope in the future is you'll find that I listen to that advice.
That's great.
I want to take just a minute and thank Jan Ignash and Tim Jones and their teams. You all have had a few hours of listening to the reports and following the discussion that they have led. I have had several days, and I look forward to several weeks, months, and years ahead in continuing to work with this team. They are incredibly talented. They are incredibly committed. And I'm very proud to have the opportunity to work with them each and every day. And I want to thank Chancellor Brogan really for having assembled a team, I believe, that serves our state very well. I also want to recognize Brittany Davis, who is our new Director of Media Affairs. She didn't put this in my remarks, but I do want you to know that she is out and pushing hard. She has followed in the footsteps of Kim Wilmath, who decided to return to USF. But we're excited to have Brittany. And Brittany, thank you. Would you mind making sure they all know who you are? And so at any time, we will both be trying to share information with you, but also trying to engage you, this board, in the discussions we have around the state. I also want to quickly thank the university presidents and the board chairs and the provosts for your open and honest insight and your commitment to what you do for your institutions. I welcome the conversations that we have begun. I look forward to working with you in the future. And I want to put our board on notice that we also plan to leverage you to the greatest amount of our ability as we continue to have a conversation with our state elected leaders. We are going to be pushing hard to get the revenue and the capital that are going to allow our institutions and our system and our faculty to serve our students and to serve our state. And our priority as we go away from this meeting will be to be working and focusing on the legislative session ahead, in addition to the other priorities that you've heard. Also, I want to recognize the results again of the Access and Attainment Commission and remind all of us that we are in the process now of receiving the grant proposals from the universities. Those are due by February 3rd. We look forward to continuing the hard work of that commission as we take a look at how the universities serve those needs in our states. And again, February 3rd is the deadline. I want to make sure everybody knows that that's out there, and our staff looks forward to working with your teams in developing the very best investment plan we can for the state of Florida. We have had some discussion and need to recognize FSU as our national champion. That was my first day in the office, though I had absolutely nothing to do with it. Others may claim a lot of credit for it, but and I'm sure you do, Mr. President. Also would recognize University of Central Florida, who had a very successful outcome in a BCS bowl game, and I believe that was another recognition of the greatness of our universities. But I would also turn for a minute and recognize the very positive SACS report that Florida A&M University received in the past month. And I want to thank Chairman Badger and Dr. Robinson for your tremendous efforts in responding to and I believe completing the answer to the questions that were raised. And it is with great pride that I believe the state of Florida I hope can share in the recognition that you received from SACS and that report back to you. And thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I also want to note that we look forward to receiving Dr. Mangum before this board in the near future. I've had conversations with Chairman Badger, and our plan is that when the FAMU process has been completed, we will bring this board together so that you have an opportunity to meet her in person. I believe we have had very good feedback from Governor Chopra, who served on that search committee, but we want to be sure that we give that decision the right time and, frankly, the right respect for Dr. Mangum so that she has an opportunity to be before you and to share her thoughts about and plans that she would propose subject to your successful confirmation of her selection. And then I also want to say, I think, thank you not only to the University of Florida and to the committee that's worked with the University of Florida, but frankly to the leadership of the governor and the state legislature in the launch of UF Online. I think one of the hardest but probably smartest things that was done in that process was to give a very short timeline for the challenge to launch by January 1st. I had the privilege last week of sitting in on a presentation that Provost Glover made to the legislature about the results of that. Not only that the deadline was met, but that the numbers are coming in terms of student participation in the UF Online program. We now are the first state. So we were the first state to plan to do it. We are now the first state to have successfully launched an undergraduate, completely online degree program in the country. And I believe that the continued discussions that will come about from that, as well as the other discussions you've heard around this table yesterday around what we can do in other pursuits around online and MOOCs, and our new Innovation and Online Committee, are going to position this as a state that plays offense in the use of technology and not defense. And I think that is the thing that is fantastic to have already recognized, that we need to be a leader, not a follower. And I believe that the resources around this table are going to position us to do that. Final thing just to remind you of would be that the annual Sunshine State Scholars Conference is going to occur in February 13th and 14th in Orlando. This conference recognizes the top STEM high school students in their junior year from every school district in Florida and recruits them to pursue their post-secondary education in Florida, which obviously increases the likelihood that they will join Florida's future workforce. My understanding is that all of the universities are invited to participate in this. I had the privilege of participating in it last year. Now, I have to admit, from the AT&T perspective, I was able to bring all the students an iPad, which may be why I got invited back. I'm not sure I'll get a second invite back. I'm looking for a state tchotchke or maybe a university system collar pin that I can share, but I'm not sure I'll get nearly the same excitement I got last year. But I think if you get a chance to participate in this program and see who these young people are and where they come from, which is all over, and who they are, which is everyone, they represent everyone in our state. These are some of our truly best and brightest, and it's a great opportunity not only to acknowledge them, but frankly, I think of it as a great opportunity to recruit them and show them the excitement that the state of Florida has for their success and to build on that. So finally, I will get to the period, and I will say that it is a privilege to be here. I am excited every day about what we do. I work with tremendous people, and I work for a tremendous board, and I thank you for your enthusiasm and your energy, and I hope that you find that each and every day we return it to you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. This is a public comment time. I want to ask our General Counsel if there is a request for public comments.
No, Chair, there are no requests for public comment.
Okay, great. Yes, sir.
Yes. Chairman Hussaini, in the interest of accuracy, I do want to put one footnote to your outstanding presentation, and that is to say that FIU has a 50% graduation rate, not a 40% graduation rate, and that in December at the APLU meeting, FIU was awarded the highest prize.
I didn't say FAU.
Okay. I'm sorry, I heard FIU.
Okay, now it was FAU.
Okay, but it does give me an opportunity to bring to the board's attention those that FIU did receive the most visible progress award from APLU at the December meeting because of the remarkable progress we have made in the 6-year graduation rates.
All right, thank you very much. Sorry if I said FIU, it was FAU. All right, our next item is the consideration of confirmation of the reappointment of the president at the University of North Florida. This item was originally on the board's agenda in November, but was postponed because the UNF Board of Trustees Chair Bruce Taylor had a medical appointment. On September 10, 2013, the Board of Trustees of the University of North Florida unanimously reappointed John Delaney to serve as the president of UNF. The reappointment extends Mr. Delaney's contract for 5 years through May 31, 2018. Bruce Taylor, the past chair of the UNF Board of Trustees, submitted a request that our board confirm Mr. Delaney's reappointment. That request, along with highlights of the President Delaney's accomplishment during his tenure as president at UNF, and a summary of key contract amendments are included in your materials. UNF Board of Trustees elected Hugh Green as its new chair earlier this month. Chair Green is here to present President Delaney for confirmation of his reappointment by the Board of Governors. Chair Green.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And let me begin by saying I appreciate your comments about the continued close relationship and synergy you desire to have with the Board of Trustees of our various universities. As the newly elected chair of the Board of Trustees of UNF, I really appreciate having the opportunity to represent our board and the university as we bring the extension of John Delaney's contract to you. As you've already pointed out in your packet, you do have the letter from our former chair, Bruce Taylor, as well as the document summarizing John's many accomplishments during his 10 years as president of UNF. I would submit to you that these only really scratch the surface of why we, the board, and the university community as a whole, and I think it's not in any way an overstatement to say the citizens of Jacksonville are proud to have John Delaney as president of our community's leading educational and cultural resource. Today, the strength of our university plays a critical and unparalleled role in ensuring the future growth of the region. And I think I can say that having served in an executive role for over 24 years in our community. Another way of saying that is that Jacksonville really cannot thrive without a strong UNF. And that means taking a leader who understands and who has the commands of the dynamics of key relationships to ensure the growth not only on our campus but for the region and our community together. Obviously, you stated a moment ago that each university has a distinct mission, and really it's important for me to underscore that in large part a clear understanding of our mission has really occurred under John's leadership. On the one hand, it is the commitment to our region, and secondly, it is to perform at a national level. John has made it very clear that as a regional comprehensive university, UNF will continue to place strong emphasis on the quality of undergraduate teaching, expending the resources necessary to have full-time faculty teaching at the lower division courses. But at the same time, UNF will continue to offer a master's degree and professional doctoral degrees that respond to region's needs in fields where the university has expertise and capacity. In fulfilling that mission, President Delaney has worked very hard and continually has raised the profile of our entering freshmen. We understand that if we're to provide the labor force necessary to serve our region, and John understands that more than anyone, we have to convince top performing students to come to UNF and to remain in our area. We can't be mediocre, to use your language. We can't be average. And so we benchmark ourselves against the best institutions that fall into the niche that we do. We aren't trying to be a Research One university. We are committed to being the regional comprehensive par excellence university to serve the broader Jacksonville and Northeast Florida region. In fulfilling that mission, President Delaney has committed to building a curriculum and investing in programs that align with not only our local needs but with global trends. We refer to the flagship programs at UNF, and it's not surprising that among those programs, nursing, coastal biology, transportation and logistics, international business were among those first programs selected for these flagship programs. With CSX headquartered in Jacksonville and companies such as Crowley Maritime operating in a major way at our port, transportation and logistics was the logical top pick. And today this undergraduate program, as many of you know, ranks among the nation's best, including being recognized for putting out the 13th highest quality research productivity in a ranking where everyone else, those institutions have traditional doctorate programs associated with that level of research. And it is no surprise that the chief operating officer of CSX sought out and is now a member of our university board of trustees. And that's really true of the other flagship programs. It's no coincidence that Bruce Taylor, who just left being chair but remains on the board, is CEO of one of the country's major coastal engineering firms, and of course as I assume the role of chair as the CEO of the largest healthcare system in Northeast Florida with our major flagship program in nursing and what we're doing in the healthcare arena. Under John's leadership, UNF has tracked student development. Our incoming students come in with high scores on measures of critical thinking, and they remain there with expected gains in that skill set, and also that's true of written communications and mathematics. You know, what I would say to you, and I think many of you know this, John is a visionary, and he is not committed to our staying where we are, and we understand that we will continue to move forward. He's committed to bringing graduation rates to the level of the best of our national peers, and he's made bold changes already at UNF toward that end. One example of that is we have moved dramatically under his leadership from being a commuter campus to being a place where now freshmen are required. They live on campus and engage with each other and the entire university community. I would just say to you as a member of the community, there is a vibrant student life that is a UNF that frankly didn't exist a decade ago. But as an urban university, we also are that campus where we need to be most accessible to students with the greatest financial need. John played a unique role in creating the Jacksonville Commitment Program, continues to try to scale that program, to meet the needs of all need-based or Pell Grant students. As John has pointed out in the past, our commitment is really to be the best possible regional university. And to that end, again, I don't need to inform you of this perhaps, but President Delaney continues to play really an unparalleled leadership role in the economic development of Northeast Florida. He is going to be next year the incoming chair of the Jacksonville Regional Chamber of Commerce. He currently chairs the JAX USA Partnership, which is the economic development engine of Northeast Florida. He serves in a vital role in the Jacksonville Civic Council, which is the group of CEOs that plays a major role in shaping the future of our region. So as again, I think you stated, Mr. Chairman, the state university system needs different institutions, and we have our distinct missions, and UNF revels and understands that reality. And UNF takes pride in being a regional comprehensive university that will continue to seek to be excellent and actually set the benchmark for this category of university. And I believe, and I speak on behalf of our Board of Trustees, that no one is better positioned to ensure that UNF stays on that path than John Delaney. And so I speak on behalf of a very dedicated and strong Board of Trustees, and I must add I speak with strong personal conviction that John Delaney continues to serve in an exemplary role as the president of our university, and so it is with great honor that I request your reaffirming his appointment to that position.
Wow, what a great endorsement. President Delaney, his head is getting bigger and bigger. President Delaney, would you like to make a few comments?
Not really.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I appreciate Chairman Green's position and the endorsement of the board. And as he mentioned, we believe that our niche is to be relevant to the needs of the Northeast Florida area. We benchmark ourselves against regional institutions across the country. Each year we visit 2 of our peer aspirant institutions, and several board members on our senior leadership team goes. And so the board is heavy into metrics, much like this board has evolved to. And I appreciate serving with you and serving with the Board of Trustees. Thanks.
Thank you. May I have a motion to confirm the reappointment?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Congratulations, President Delaney. We look forward to work with you, President Delaney. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go to the facilities, and Governor Huizenga.
Thank you, Chair Hussaini. The Facilities Committee met yesterday and heard a presentation by staff on how the universities are becoming more efficient in their use of electricity. We also reviewed the major projects which were completed in the year of 2013. We have 2 items moving forward for the full board for approval. The first is the Florida Gulf Coast University Educational Plant Survey. This request was approved by the committee, and so I would move approval of the FCGU Educational Plant Survey.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carried unanimously.
Next, the committee considered amendments to the board's LBR request for capital outlay. Overall, the committee recommends reductions to the general revenue request as well as the PICO request. This reflects the outcome of the October facilities workshop as well as the reduction of the state's official PICO forecast. The board will have one final opportunity to amend its request in March, should this prove necessary. First, the committee voted to approve an amended LBR emphasizing the need for maintenance, renovation, and completion of projects with partial funding. This totals $321 million. I move approval on behalf of the committee.
Second.
Discussion?
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Next, the committee approved a second LBR amendment which funds planning for 4 new projects. I move approval of those projects listed as priority D in the committee packet.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Lastly, the committee authorized construction of a series of buildings from non-state sources. If constructed, the universities will return to Budget Committee in future years to seek utilities and custodial costs to the extent they are used for educational purposes.
Do I have a second? Was there a motion?
Motion is
I move on. Move
Oh,
approval.
motion second. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
I'm very excited about the 321 plan that has focused that plan and the focused ideas our chair has for the meeting, our most vital building needs today. Pardon me. One point of clarification, though, the 321 plan is only for maintenance, completion, and renovation requests. Other LBR items, including new projects and the students' CITF facilities, formally remain in the LBR, but are not part of the 321 plan, just for clarification. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. And now we go to the Select Committee on Florida Polytechnic and Chair Coombs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Select Committee, the newly constituted committee on Florida Polytechnic University met yesterday, and I don't think we have any actions for the full board, but there was several items that we asked the representatives from Florida Polytech to provide to us. In particular, we asked for a projection of student enrollment and the costs associated with student enrollment to see how the projections look as the cost per student will start to be lowered over time as the university is up and running. And so that is a document that should be sent to the full board. And we also requested a green, yellow, red report that would be presented to our board at each of our meetings that would mirror the legislative requirements for Poly to, in each of the areas that are requirements by December 31st, 2016 that they achieved, asking for a status report on where we stand on each of those items. Other than that, I think we had a very good report made by Ava Parker, and I think the feel of the committee, the Select Committee, is that progress is being made. Although we are every day getting obviously closer and closer to December 31st, 2016, and we're very interested to confirm and be assured that we are on the right path towards success.
Thank you. Governor Colson on strategic planning.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The only item before the committee yesterday was the review of the 2012-2013 Annual Accountability Report. The report contains narrative and metrics on the progress made toward Board of Governors' strategic plan goals. Among other information, the report contains examples of key achievements, as well as information and metrics regarding enrollments, degrees awarded, retention and graduation, e-learning, degree productivity in key discipline areas, academic program quality, research and commercialization, funding and expenditures, and other efficiency metrics and activities. The Strategic Planning Committee had a good discussion with regard to how the state university system is performing on key metrics relative to access, productivity, and efficiency. And the committee was pleased to hear that the system continues to improve on key metrics that will position it as one of the top systems in the United States. At this time, I am making a motion that the board approve the 2012-13 Annual Accountability Report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Governor Lautenbach for Innovation and Online Committee Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During yesterday's Innovation and Online Committee meeting, the committee had an extensive discussion of the recommendations included in the final report of the Task Force on Post-Secondary Online Education in Florida and endorsed the staff's proposed implementation plan for those recommendations. At this time, I move that the board approve the implementation plan for the task force report.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Are you finished?
I'm finished, sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Lautenbach. Okay, now we go to Governor Kuntz for Budget and Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Budget and Finance Committee met this morning and concluded our meeting in the allotted time. Thank you very much. We have 3 items to take up for action by the full board. The first, there was a request made by Governor Lautenbach's committee on post-secondary online education to amend the legislative budget request. We took this up this morning and approved this, and I recommend and move that the Board of Governors amend its 2014-15 legislative budget request to reflect $250,000 for a lead institution to coordinate the development, delivery, and marketing of at least 3 4-credit massive open online courses for use by the system, State University system, that incorporate a quality framework, effective practices, and competency-based assessments. In addition, the lead institution, in collaboration with the Board of Governors staff, would lead a statewide working group to draft a statewide MOOC strategy for recommendation of the Board of Governors, including guidelines for evaluating non-credit MOOCs.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Second item, Mr. Chairman.
Opposed?
Okay.
Motion carried.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Second item, Mr. Chairman, the statute, Florida statute requires the board to submit an annual report to the legislature and governor by February 1st on actions taken on new fee requests and tuition differential requests, as well as information on the implementation of tuition differential. I would move that we approve both reports and direct staff to transmit the reports to the legislature and the governor. And as a reminder, Mr. Chairman, we had no fee increases or tuition increases to report.
Great. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the final item, the committee this morning had a robust discussion about performance funding. We reviewed and discussed the performance funding model, and we are now ready to move to the next step of presenting it to the legislature and governor for consideration during the upcoming session. Therefore, I would like to move that the board approve the performance funding model for implementation. Implementation is dependent upon the appropriation of new state monies for fiscal year 2014-15 to fund the model, and a grant of authority to reallocate a like amount of funds that the universities receive as part of their base funding through the General Appropriation Act.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
We have 1 opposed. Okay, the motion carried. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We're getting close to an end, but I would like to make sure that the board is up to speed on the presidential searches that are currently underway in the system. First, I want to ask Governor Chopra to provide a report on the Florida A&M University presidential search.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since my last update, the presidential search at FAMU was suspended on March 22nd in an effort to allow the university to direct its attention towards removing the accreditation problems. On October 3rd, the board chair, Solomon Badger, asked the search committee to reconvene, and it did after the SACS review was completed. The search committee then met on October 17th. During this meeting, committee chair Carl White recapped the process, brought the members up to date, and the consultant Greenwood Asher presented an update on the review process, which essentially said to re-advertise the position for at least 30 days. On December 23rd, Greenwood Asher provided each committee member with copies of the new applications and the access to a digital website where all this information was available. The search committee held a conference call on December 27th to discuss and answer questions regarding the process and to provide input on the process itself. It was decided that the committee would have another conference call on January 3rd to narrow the field down to a 6 or so. The committee did meet by conference call on January 3rd It received 49 applications at that time, and after significant discussions on the telephone, narrowed the candidates down to 6 who were invited for an interview in Orlando. At that time, 2 declined and withdrew from that process, and 4 came to Orlando on January 6th, and they were interviewed by the search committee. At the end of that process, 2 of the 4 were selected to be forwarded to the Board of Trustees. They were Dr. Elmira Mangum and Dr. John Price. The Board of Trustees interviewed these finalists on January 8th and took public comments as well. On the 9th, the Board of Trustees approved Dr. Elmira Mangum as the 11th president of Florida A&M University. She brings a significant expertise and experience in executive higher education management. I will provide more information to the board at the time when we take up this, but I just wanted to give you an idea that the process, in my opinion, was followed and a suitable candidate has been found. And at this time, negotiations are underway for a contract.
Thank you, Dr. Chopra. Chairman Badger, do you have anything to add to that, sir?
Nothing beyond the fact that we are, as I speak, we are continuously in the process of completing a contract, and at that point, we will be prepared to bring our new president for approval by this board. I expect that to be done very shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I make this, Florida A&M has had a rough 2 years, and I was chair of this board during a lot of that. And I would just like to observe that I think Dr. Robinson really did an outstanding job. But their chairman is a man of integrity, and he was there in a tough time, and he did all the right things at all the right times. So I'm proud to call you a friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Badger. Okay, I'd like to ask Governor Link to provide a report on the Florida Atlantic University presidential search.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. FAU search committee comprised of a few board members. There were 15 members to the search committee. I think three were sitting board members. There was also a student representative as well as members of the community. I sat as the Board of Governors representative. Initially, there were 61 applicants who had applied for the position. 10 were chosen for interviews. 1 person declined, so they interviewed 9 people. 3 finalists were then selected by the search committee to be presented to the Board of Trustees of FAU. The 3 finalists, I think, represent a wide variety of skill sets. We have Dr. Christopher Early, who is the Dean of the Business School at Purdue University. Dr. John Kelly from Clemson University, who serves as a vice president there. I might have this title wrong, but I think he's the head of the agricultural department as well as the director of outreach for the university. And Mr. George Lemieux, who is an attorney with the Gunster Law Firm locally in town, as well as he served as the appointment from Governor Charlie Crist to the U.S. Senate and served in the U.S. Senate for 16 months. So we have a wide variety of skills that the Board of Trustees will look at. Those candidates are all on campus this week, interviewing with their final interviews with the Board of Trustees tomorrow, and tomorrow the FAU Board will make its selection.
Thank you very much. I just like to add a couple of comments. Part of the Constitution, it was the responsibility of the Board of Governors to appoint universities, and we have turned that responsibilities to Board of Trustees, and we want to keep it that way. That said, process is very important to us. We're going to be looking at every presidential searches process, that the process is done right and well, and this board will be looking to those, and would also look at the person that will carry the mission of that university that the Board of Governors and the Board of Trustees is set to do. So this will open up our board to, we'll continue with appointing people on the search and advisory, but also this board will have an opportunity when they bring it before us to ask questions and us following that process. I can assure you, and then I'm not trying to, there's nothing different, and that is just that starting with my tenure, that if the process is not done well, if it's not a good process in place, we will definitely question and that president's viability to, lead the university. So the next meeting on the calendar is scheduled for February 20th. We may bring one or both of the presidential candidates before the board on February 20th. The University of South Florida has agreed to host that meeting. You will receive more information shortly. The 2014 legislative session begins on March 4th. I know that each of you will be working hard on behalf of our system during the upcoming session, especially our Governor Dick Byrd, that is going to be, chairing that committee, and we will be following him. Thank you. We will be holding an in-person meeting in Tallahassee during the session on March 19 and 20th at Florida State University. Speaking of legislating session, Governor Fossey, would you provide the board with an update on activities of the Florida Student Association?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's an honor to call you Mr. Chairman now that the year has begun. Congratulations again, an excellent speech earlier. I'd like to just begin by thanking the student body presidents who are in the room, specifically Trustee Juan Cubillo, who is so graciously hosting us on behalf of the Florida Gulf Coast University. If he can stand up just so that he can be recognized. Thank you, President Cubillo. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., the Florida Student Association will meet in this room here. Everybody in this room is invited to attend. We will be reviewing the finalized FSA legislative agenda, which is a two-tiered agenda. First, a facilities request, which complements the 3-2-1 approach that Chairman Hussaini mentioned earlier. It is requesting that our priorities be funded and that our capital improvement trust fund fee be bonded. This has been dubbed the Hard Hats for Higher Education campaign, which a press conference unveiling the campaign will be held in the footsteps of the Capitol or in the lobby of the Capitol on February 5th, I believe at 10 a.m., which again everyone in this room is invited to attend. The second tier of our legislative agenda is focusing on granting in-state tuition for specific qualified student groups, including veterans, which I'd like to thank Presidents Manchin and Barron for supporting so publicly and vocally that initiative. We have established February 26th to be Aim Higher Florida Day, in which every university campus will have a individual rally focusing specifically on facilities funding, as well as in-state tuition for those specific groups. A month later, on March 26th, will be Rally and Tally, which is the Florida Student Association's annual event in Tallahassee. This will also be complemented by other individual days at the Capitol, which I will be attending along with the other student body presidents. I would like to mention, just bring up, and not necessarily comment on the proposal, but the Commissioner Putnam's proposed idea to solve our PICO problem. It does, I'd just like to commend his example for taking the lead on this, and as far as I know, he is the only one who has proposed a solution to the dire situation that our universities and public education system faces. So I'd just like to commend his example and let him know that the students will be working with him to see if this is a viable solution to the lack of facilities funding that our system has faced. Again, every event that I mentioned earlier in this report is everyone in this room is invited to attend, and we look forward to working with everybody in this room and our legislature moving forward as March 4th rapidly approaches. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, wherever you are.
Right here.
There you are.
Yes. Thank you, Governor Fossey. Thank you so much. Okay. At this point, I would like to recognize Governor Colson for his leadership as our chair over the past 2 years. But Dean, I have a question for you. I've been on this job for 16 days, and I have my championship ring. I'd like to know, Florida State, champ. I'd like to know under your leadership, how many rings did you get, and how many team did win? Because I'm not trying to, outdo you, but I just want to know.
I focused on graduation rates.
So for that reason, would you join me, please?
Yes, sir.
While you're coming over, on behalf of the board, I want to present this resolution to you, Dean, to acknowledge your contribution to our board, including your commitment to quality through the preeminent state research university program, the development of a performance funding model, and the creation of task force to address the facilities funding crisis. Dean, you also led this board into innovative new territory in the area of online education and through the Commission on Access and Attainment. You also tried to make the board members smarter and better informed. Almost every meeting, you gave us homework, a huge book, usually on history, to read. Now that you are not the chair, we know that you will have a lot of time on your hands. So we want to make sure that you are using that time well. We are giving you several books. The first is a recent book on Florida history. The book is published by the University Press of Florida and written by the premier scholar on the subject, Dr. Michael Cannon. Dr. Cannon is Distinguished Service Professor Emeritus of History at the University of Florida, and he signed the book for you. See, you got a book signed for us? We signed a book for you. We also have a set of book written in the 1920s by the Caroline Mays Brevard on Florida history. She was a history professor at the Florida State College for Women, now FSU. She also was the granddaughter of Governor Richard Call, who was Florida's third and fifth territorial governor in the mid-1800s. Ms. Brevard was also a relative of Florida's 33rd governor, Leroy Collins. Governor Collins was a great champion for higher education. He was driving force behind both the University of South Florida and Florida's community college system. Dean, these books were part of Governor Collins' personal collection. We hope that you will enjoy them and that they will remind you of your time as our chair. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to give you this resolution first.
Thank you.
One go. And I've got your books here. I'm going to have somebody carry it for you. So, would you like to say a few words?
2 words. This is as fine an organization, a group that I've ever been a part of. The board members are wonderful, kind, and generous with not only their time, but their money. The people we deal with are smarter than we are, and so that's always exciting. And we're making progress. We've made progress in a tough 4 or 5 years, and now, as things get better, we're going to I believe we're really going to zoom. And I'm going to be proud to be part of that. I'm going to be proud to work with this wonderful board and my leader, Maury. So thank you all very, very much.
I want the record show, because we're going to finish this meeting. We finished ahead of time at 11:30, Mr. Vice Chairman. And that's the previous chairman. So is there anything else?
I actually have to...
Before the board? Yes,
I have a business matter. In the last 6 weeks, we've had a court opinion involving guns on campus. And I understand from our lawyer, but I want to confirm here, there's really nothing this board can do about that. This requires legislative action to correct this. Am I correct on that?
Yes, sir. In my opinion, it does require a legislative resolution.
Okay. Well,
You could pay our legal fees, though, if you were.
I would just hope, because God knows none of us want to, hope there's never another incident, but I would like it, I would hope that our legislators and elected officials would take a look at what the failings are in the laws that exist today to help our presidents make sure their campuses are safe.
Okay. Anything else?